Okay, I had another bunch of fourth years, and this was just for one day. It was my last day, Friday, and it was the teacher. It just told me specifically to do this graphs, and we were doing quadratic functions, and they were fourth years, and they were like top set, and they were doing really well. And actually, they were doing kind of stuff which is more to do, I think, with R. And she said that they had just started doing this kind of topic simultaneously, as it were. They were in this other topic, and they were all a bit dodgy with it. And I was like, okay. And I thought that what she was going to do, she was meant to be coming in to do a register sometime during the lesson, fairly close to the beginning. So I just sat at the front with them. They were all coming in and sat down, and I was like, great, maybe this is just normal stage coming. I was just like, okay. And I've worked out that sometimes I kind of scare people when I'm too animated, I'm too excited right at the beginning. And it can work for the first years, okay, because they kind of need something kind of like exciting to start with. But with the older ones, it's better if you just kind of start off, gently, say a few words here and there, you look at them, they say a few things, different people say a few things, interact with them, and it's all kind of normal, kind of slow, but there's a kind of slight kind of edge to it. It's kind of, something humorous going on, something a bit quick about it. Not in terms of repartee, but just in terms of response, just liveness. Okay, so you just what happened? I talked a little bit, and then the person didn't turn up. The other teacher didn't turn up. What did I do? Well, I've only seen him for one lesson. And rather than just say, right, get on with the work, and then we just help people individually, which is what the teacher suggested. I said this to the class, in fact. I said, this is what's been suggested, this is what I could do, this is what we'll probably do. But why don't we start with, maybe I could be a bit more use than that. I don't know if I said that. Something like that. So we're having a bit of a laugh. And we actually, for that class, we started having a major laugh, as in people actually laughing. I can't remember what happened. Eventually what's happening, though, is that this other class, be doing Pythagoras, and the stuff was on the board. And there's an exam question there from the general paper, which these kids, I don't think do, maybe they do. Yeah, I think they do, actually. And there's Pythagoras, and there's a question. And so I'd already kind of woken them up a bit, and they're all kind of like, a bit more like, okay, what's going on here? And I was trying to be very abstract, and I was doing stuff at different levels, and I even told the kids that I was working at different levels, some of which was conscious, and other bits were kind of at other levels. And I asked them, I kind of challenged them to come up, one of them to come up and do this question. I'd already built up enough repartee, rapport with them, built up enough rapport with them for them to, okay, but none of them were wanting to do it, apart from one guy, I think it was called Paul. And he goes, okay, I'll do it. Well, I'll do it. And after kind of like 2 or 3 prompts, he was like, okay. And he was an alternative type. You see them, they're kind of like, probably does art, okay? And probably plays like guitar. Got kind of longish hair, it was kind of a bit messy. And he had a shirt which was kind of red stripe on it and stuff. And he had this kind of like, canvas trainers. And so he was kind of an unusual looking guy anyway, alright? And he was slightly different. And that's good, he had a bit of individuality, he was kind of sticking to it a little, and it was kind of flexible and loose, slightly. And that's why he was coming up, and he was brave. And he got up there, and he did an amazing job, amazing job. He didn't look at the kids, I remember he didn't look at anybody, he just looked, and I've seen teachers do this, and they look above. They just look above people when they're talking to them. It's weird. However, he was doing that, and he was interacting with them, and he was asking them to help him out, because he felt the stress, and he was just translating it into words, and he was doing a great job. He was doing a fantastic job, and he did it, okay, with the assistants. And in fact, some kids were sort of like telling him the answer from calculator, and actually they're wrong. I kind of joined in as well, so I think he's wrong. And then he felt bad that he was wrong, and I was saying things like, well, no, you don't feel bad, because you actually got them to help you, so it's their fault. So that's the good thing about when you get them involved, is that it's not you up there, it's the class. It's kind of, do you see it? So people can realise it's not them. And I remember later on when the guy was sitting down, I said, have you ever been in front of class? Oh, it's too stressful. Because the thing is, me, everyone's looking at me. I don't think about that really that much, the way a person, when the class is looking, they're not looking at me, they're looking at how I'm doing stuff. Anyway, he did a great job. And what I did, when he sat down, because he did work it out eventually, was I talked about, and this is it, I talked about what they were looking at. Okay, they were looking at him and his personality, how he waved his arms around, how he was okay, how he was talking. Okay, but he was doing something else. And some people like aspects of that, some people don't. But he did a fantastic job. But he's doing something else as well. What if we get rid of that? So it doesn't really matter that aspect of it, let's say, call it personality. He's still doing something else. Maths isn't there. So what is it? And then also his writing. It was kind of, it was a bit of a scrawl, it was a bit of a mess. And then it was like, that was just the effect of what he was doing. And, because, okay. So for example, I picked up the maths book and I said, do you think the maths is in this book? And then I just looked at the front and it had 6 different people's names. So I said, Mr. and Mrs. blah, 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 all these different individuals. Thank you very much for this book. But the maths is not there. Again, the maths in the head. And that was their product. And this was Paul's product. It's a piece of art on the board. So where was the maths? And eventually what's happening is if you get rid of all that, what happens is there's a process going on that we're doing in our heads, that he was doing in front of us, that I'm doing right now, that you are doing inside your own heads. And that's what they're doing. And that's what maths is, that's what reasoning is. And too many teachers complain that the 4th years, even top sets, they can't reason, They can do all the knowledge, but they can't reason. And the question is why? It's because they keep on getting told stuff that encourage them to actually reason. I do the reasoning thing. I keep on emphasising reasoning and working stuff out all the time. So that was quite nice. That's what I did with them. It was funny. Eventually I was doing curves and I was introducing ways for the kids to understand what they were doing, which is mathematics, which is pretty odd, and quadratic functions and the curve, y is equal to x squared, if the x equal to x squared, and that produces a curve. And just what are they doing? Why are they doing it? And so on. And I was doing things like, oh, did you find this subject, was this topic easy or something? They were saying, solid. I was like, oh, it's okay. What do you say? No, what did you say? Solid. And that's the common terms. All right. What time's it? That's what the time is. That's what one of the terms is just now in school. Is that the kids say when something's hard, easy, solid. So I said, solid. Oh, that's quite interesting. What comes to mind when something's like solid? And the kids were, when somebody said hard, I said, okay, so like solid, hard. What comes to mind? This other kid just burst into laughter. Okay, everyone's like, and then he just bam, he just laughs, collapses onto this table, laughing loudly, and other people go, and they start laughing. And while they're doing this, I'm pointing at them, saying, "That's what happened in his head. Now that's what's happening in your head." Okay, solid, it's hard, That's interesting for me. When somebody thinks something, other people think it. That's just interesting. Don't you see? That's just magic. And they're all laughing, and then I said, okay, well, look, I've got a different thing. Okay, when I think about it, okay, when I heard it, it's like when you're toilet, when something's solid, and you get a laugh at that, and it's like, that's true as well. When something's really hard, it's like, and so it's got a lot of effort and stuff to try and get the thing out. Oh God. And then, I'm joking with this, and they're kind of having a laugh, and then I say, okay, well, you're going through time and process, and it's like really kind of fun, and then it gets easier, okay? And you get this, and so I was drawing curves of solid against time, how solid is it? You see? Yeah. Or it goes like this. Some people avoid it, and then, oh, it's bloody solid, and they give up. Or they really want to get, and then they get rid of it. And different people have different ways, and so you're trying to represent different people's response and how they're interacting with how difficult a piece of work is. It's kind of cool, I think. It's kind of cool. And so what they're doing, that's what I do again. What they're doing is graphs, and I'm relating it to some aspect of their experience which is happening, which they find a bit tricky, and how that's happening through time, and how that changes, which is true. And there they are looking at a graph. And the mathematics is a means of mapping things that we experience, for example. And that is abstract. Okay, suitably abstract lesson to point at something suitably abstract, and it's fun, interesting, informative, entertaining. It's just great, love it. So I think they enjoyed it too. So that's what I do. They were good kids. They were good kids.